I love Iceland. In fact, I've been there 5 times. Although it's not a large country, it packs a huge amount of amazing sights into its modest footprint. If you have limited time or are on a stopover and want to do a short 4 to 5 day tour of some of the best of Iceland and aren't sure where to go, well, you're in the right spot. In this video, I'm going to be taking you from waterfalls and glaciers to geothermal spas and black sand beaches. I'll lay out a 5-day itinerary to experience some of South Iceland's most iconic sights and hidden gems. Okay, first, I offer my sincere apologies in advance for my inevitable mispronunciations in Icelandic. To do this particular itinerary, you need a rental car and either camp or reserve accommodations in Vík for 2 nights, near Jokusarlón for 1 night, and in Reykjavik for 1 night. If you're interested in my general advice to do an Icelandic trip more affordably, check out my separate video on that. The link is in the description. So day 1. Your arrival, the Golden Circle, and Vík. Most flights to Iceland from North America and many from Europe touch down at the Keflavik airport relatively early in the day. If this is the case with you, get your rental car and kick off your Icelandic adventure. In my itinerary, we save seeing Reykjavik for last. So the first stop is the Golden Circle. This route is basically Iceland's classic intro, with some great sights, but it's also some of its most heavily touristed, since it's easy to do on a day trip from Reykjavik. Personally, I think it's better to see on your first day, mainly because there's so many more impressive sights you'll see in the next few days that the Golden Circle will be a bit of a disappointment if you save it for last. So you'll drive about an hour and a half from the airport. You'll drive through the lovely scenery of the Thingvellir National Park. This visit, I skipped walking around at Thingvellir and made a beeline to the Lagervatn Fontana Spa. It's a small but wonderful spa that's in a lovely setting. It's seldom crowded and doesn't have all the tour groups and selfie takers that the Blue Lagoon has. Its hot geothermally heated pools and saunas right on the water's edge are perfect for recovering from your flight. And if you're feeling brave, jump into the icy waters of the lake to cool down from your soak or steam. They have a great little cafe as well that also sells bread they bake overnight in the geothermally heated sands. And once you've recovered, dry off and head 30 minutes down the road to the next Golden Circle site, Glacier. And yes, that's where the English word geyser comes from. It erupts every few minutes, shooting boiling water high into the air. But don't blink or you'll miss it. It's surrounded by sulfur-smelling fields of bubbling pools and mud pots. Afterwards, head 10 minutes down the road to Gullfoss, one of Iceland's most powerful waterfalls and what I think is the highlight of the Golden Circle. Its falls cascade down a dramatic plunge into a rugged canyon. And there's multiple viewpoints, so it's really easily viewable for people of any mobility level. If you're able to hike the trail all the way down to the falls, you'll be treated to some stunning and dramatic views. From there, you'll drive the little more than 2 hours south to Vík. But if you have time, consider stopping at the Carrid Crater, and definitely stop at the Seljalandsfoss waterfall while you're on the way. At the waterfall, if you have waterproof gear on, walk around behind the falls. And an insider bonus tip, be sure to walk the kilometer or so to the left of the falls to see the secret waterfall of Gljúfrabúi, a unique falls in a slot canyon. You'll then finish the day with a stay in or around Vík, a charming little seaside village surrounded by dramatic cliffs and those iconic black sand beaches that Iceland is famous for. It's a great spot to rest up and get ready for what's next. So day 2, your South Coast highlights. You'll definitely want to pack a lunch and wear suitable hiking clothes. You'll start with a drive backtracking a bit of what you drove yesterday. Your first stop will be at the lovely Skógafoss waterfall. Then head back towards Vík and stop at the Sólheimajökull Glacier. It's an impressive tongue of ice spilling out from the massive Mýrdalsjökull ice cap. It's a short kilometer or so hike on an easy trail to get to the glacier viewpoint. But don't stop there. You can walk all the way up to the head of the glacier. The crevasses and streaks of volcanic ash make it a truly striking sight. And I'd suggest walking back to your vehicle along the shore of the lagoon to admire the icebergs that have broken off the glacier. There's outfitters here that offer guided hikes onto the glacier if you're interested. Next, if you want, consider a hike across the vast black sands of Sólheimajökull to visit the eerie wreckage of a US Navy DC-3 plane that crashed in the 1970s. Although it's a super flat and boring 3.5 kilometer hike each way, once you arrive, it's a pretty surreal spot that feels like another world. But a warning, definitely avoid this hike if there's high winds or the weather is dicey. There's absolutely no cover from the elements. The next great stop is the Dyrhólaey Arch, a rocky headland with a lighthouse and an unbelievably vast and sweeping views down the black sand beaches of the coast. After that, it's time to explore Reynisfjara Beach with its towering basalt sea stacks and crashing waves. This place is straight out of a fantasy novel. Although this is considered one of the 10 most beautiful beaches in the world, it's also very dangerous. Many people have drowned here after being sucked out into the surf by sneaker waves. And the most recent was in August 2025. So definitely don't turn your back on the sea or get too close to the breaking surf. Depending upon your time, weather conditions, and your energy level, you might consider finishing the day at Hörleifshofti. This is a moss-covered promontory about a 10-minute drive east of Vik. It has hiking trails leading to a Viking grave and a stunning panoramic vista. At its base, it also has a curious cave shaped a lot like the Star Wars character Yoda. Coincidentally, this cave and the nearby area was used in one of the opening scenes of the Star Wars film Rogue One. Ideally tonight, you'll stay in the same accommodations in or near Vik that you stayed in the first night. Day 3, canyons, glaciers, and Jokusarlon. Today, you're going to head further east, driving through some of the most spectacular landscapes on Earth. From huge cliffs or glacial ice caps to undulating mossy lava fields that look like something from another planet. About 45 minutes past Vik is the first stop, Gljúfrabúi Canyon. Now, although it's seriously difficult to pronounce, this winding gorge was carved by glacial rivers and offers some truly epic views. About an hour further drive is the trail to Svínafellsjökull. This is a short 1 kilometer hike from a parking lot that will reward you with some incredible views of glacial ice meeting rugged mountain peaks and a beautiful glacial lagoon. Now, if you're up for a considerably more vigorous hike, a 40-minute drive past Svínafellsjökull, take a left to do the hike to Gljúfrabúi Canyon. Now, this is a moderate out and back hike to one of the most spectacular views I have ever seen. Waterfalls pouring onto a dramatic canyon with glacial lagoons in the flats below and ridgeline trails snaking their way far up the valley. It's about a 2.5 kilometers hike to get to the first viewpoint, and that will give you an incredible view. But if you have time and are feeling particularly energetic, which I wasn't, the trail continues much further up the canyon. Finally, a further 15-minute drive up the road will bring you to the goal and turnaround point of this itinerary, the Jokusarlón Glacier Lagoon. Here, massive icebergs float quietly across the water like a scene from a dream. Now, depending on the time of year you visit, there's 2 incredible activities you can do from here. During the winter time, from October to April, the temperatures drop, so ice caves in the glaciers that are normally filled with flowing water empty out, and you can do ice cave tours. I did one of these during a previous visit a few years ago, and it was stunning and super memorable. Between May and September, there's boat tours to get you out onto the glacier lagoon. Now, although there's large group amphibious boat tours, they don't go very far into the lagoon. You need to do a smaller Zodiac boat tour to get up close with the icebergs and to the head of the glacier. This 1-hour tour is truly awe-inspiring. Your boat will negotiate fields of floating ice, and you'll feel dwarfed as you glide along the massive head of the glacier. With both the ice cave and the Zodiac boat tours, I'd strongly recommend that you book them online as far in advance as you possibly can. They're rightfully popular and typically sell out. I've used both Arctic Adventures and Glacier Lagoon Iceland for tours and had extremely positive experiences with both companies. The glacier lagoon empties into the ocean, so large icebergs regularly float down the inlet, only to be washed up on the sand and broken apart in the surf. So just across the road from Jokusarlon is what is known as Diamond Beach. Chunks of crystal clear glacial ice wash up on the black volcanic sand. Again, a totally unique and otherworldly sight. The contrast is stunning and a photographer's dream. Now, if you plan ahead, bring a large Ziploc bag and put a few of the diamonds in your cooler to chill your drinks with 1,000-year-old ice. Ideally, you'll camp or spend the night near Jokusarlon, but this area is pretty remote, so there's not much accommodation to choose from. Now, we stayed at the Foss Hotel Glacier Lagoon, which was expensive, but it was beautifully designed, super comfortable, and had a wonderful hot tub and sauna overlooking the lovely countryside. So this next day, you'll be doing the 4.5-hour drive back to Reykjavik. Now, although you're driving back on the same road you came on, the views feel fresh and just as dramatic coming from the other direction. On the way back west, consider making a few stops. 30 minutes down the road from Jokusarlon, make a quick stop at the lovely little church in the village of Hofs. The Hofskirkja is one of Iceland's last turf churches. Built in the 1880s, it's got to be one of the oldest buildings in this part of Iceland. And it's quite pretty how the grass and stone blend seamlessly into the earth, making it look like it grew out of the landscape. Another 20 minutes drive, consider a stop at Svartifoss. Now this well-maintained 2-kilometer trail along a waterfall-strewn canyon will eventually bring you to a falls framed by dramatic basalt columns that looks like a giant pipe organ. It's one of Iceland's most unique waterfalls and totally worth the hilly, but still relatively easy hike. A further hour's drive from Svartifoss towards Reykjavik is a small parking lot to view the Moss Heath at the Eldhraun lava field. Now this expansive lava field was formed in an eruption of the Laki volcano that took place between 1783 and 1784. The jagged black flow has been gradually covered over by extremely delicate moss, so walking on it is not permitted. Now this is absolutely worth a stop to view the unique and beautiful pillowy moss-covered landscape. And after all that, continue heading west past Vik to end in Reykjavik. And once you get to the city, if the weather is cooperative, walk along the waterfront to see the harbor, the Sun Voyager sculpture, and be sure to stop into the lovely modern Harpa concert hall. You'll notice architectural echoes of Iceland's natural columnar basalt formations in the design of some of the most city's striking buildings. The iconic Hallgrímskirkja church is certainly one of them. Also consider swinging by what might be the most famous hot dog stand in the world, Bæjarins bestu pilsur, which simply means the town's best hot dogs. In the evening, explore Reykjavik's vibrant streets and enjoy a delicious dinner in the city. Now, we had a particularly great meal at Rock, which is very close to the Hallgrímskirkja. Day 5, the Blue Lagoon and departure. Most flights to North America from Iceland depart in the late afternoon. Keflavik Airport is about an hour drive from downtown. So as you head out to catch your plane home, Iceland's most famous attraction is only about 10 minutes from the airport. And that, of course, is the Blue Lagoon. It's a popular place, so advanced booking is recommended. In the last 2 years, there's been a lot of volcanic activity very close to the Blue Lagoon. Close enough so the road to the lagoon was consumed by lava, and they had to build large dams to prevent the flowing lava from covering the site. Now, is it touristy? Yes. Is it overpriced? Yes. But it's also quite unique. And once you get away from all the selfie-taking tourists at the pool entrance, it can actually be pretty relaxing and a memorable experience. The milky, mineral-rich waters set amongst the lava fields are a beautiful setting. Between the huge undulating pools, the multiple saunas and steam rooms, you can easily find a secluded nook, even if some parts of the pool are annoyingly crowded. It's really a great way to recharge before heading back to Keflavik Airport for your flight home. So here's a few notes about travel logistics. With car rental, other than during the late spring, summer, and early autumn, a 4-wheel drive vehicle is recommended, as weather can change quickly. Gas stations are frequent along the ring road, but top up when you can. As far as accommodations, much of Iceland is very rural and has very few hotels and guest houses, so reserve your accommodations as far in advance as possible. Iceland's weather is famously unpredictable. Pack layers, waterproof clothing, and sturdy shoes. Even in summer, evenings can be chilly. Outside major towns, options for food are limited. Stock up on snacks and drinks at larger grocery stores like Bonus or Kronan. And for time of the year, summers offer long daylight hours for sightseeing, while winter brings fewer crowds and the chance to see the northern lights, but much less daylight. With money, credit cards are widely accepted, even for small purchases, so cash is rarely needed. If you want more detailed advice, especially on how to travel affordably in Iceland, be sure to check out this video. Thanks for tuning in. A subscribe is sincerely appreciated and helps me to continue the channel.